She was just trying to buy groceries for her family when two managers decided she didn't belong. Then she made one phone call that exposed everything they tried to hide. It's 6:47 p.m. on a humid Thursday evening in Phoenix, Arizona. The kind of evening where the desert heat still radiates from the asphalt, and the air conditioning units work overtime just to keep the world bearable. Inside Freshmart on McDowell Road, fluorescent lights buzz overhead, casting everything in that particular grocery store glow that makes even the freshest produce look slightly artificial. Maria Santos pushes her cart through the produce section, methodically checking items off a handwritten list. She's 42 years old, wearing scrubs from her 12-hour shift at Phoenix General Hospital, where she works as a certified nursing assistant. Her dark hair is pulled back in a practical ponytail, and her hands, calloused from years of caring for others, carefully squeeze avocados to test their ripeness. Her cart tells a story: generic brand cereals, bulk rice, discount vegetables, and the kinds of careful choices that come with feeding a family of 4 on a healthcare worker's salary. Everything is calculated, every purchase weighed against necessity. Behind the customer service counter, Derek Morrison, the assistant manager, watches her with the kind of attention that has nothing to do with customer service. He's 28, college-educated, and carries himself with the confidence of someone who's never had to choose between groceries and rent. His polo shirt is pressed, his name tag perfectly aligned, and his smile exists only for the customers he deems worthy of it. "See that woman in scrubs?" he says to Janet Phillips, the floor supervisor. Janet is older, somewhere in her 50s, with silver-streaked hair and the weathered look of someone who's worked retail for decades. But unlike Derek, her hardness comes from ambition, not privilege. "The Hispanic lady by the tomatoes?" Janet asks, not looking up from her clipboard. "Been here 45 minutes. Just walking around, touching everything. Probably stealing." Janet finally looks up. "You see her steal something?" Derek shrugs. "It's obvious. Look at her. Scrubs from the county hospital, generic everything in her cart. She's probably on food stamps." Maria continues shopping, unaware of the conversation. She pauses at the meat counter, studies the prices, and makes a substitution: ground turkey instead of ground beef. 50 cents saved. It matters. At the pharmacy counter in the back, she picks up prescriptions. Not for herself, for her mother, who has diabetes and lives with Maria's family because she can't afford to live alone. The pharmacist, Kevin, knows Maria by name. "How's your mom doing, Maria?" he asks as he hands over the medications. "Good days and bad days," Maria replies with a tired smile. "But we're managing." Kevin nods. He's seen the careful way Maria counts out cash for copays, how she sometimes has to wait until payday to pick up prescriptions. But he also knows she's never missed a payment, never failed to care for her family. Maria heads toward the checkout lanes, her cart now full of a week's worth of meals for her family. She chooses the shortest line, behind an elderly man buying cat food and a young mother with a fussy toddler. That's when Derek makes his move. "Excuse me, ma'am," he says, approaching with Janet close behind. His voice is loud enough to carry, ensuring other customers can hear. "I need to check your receipt." Maria looks confused. "I haven't paid yet." "Before you pay," Derek continues, "I need to check your bags." Maria's confusion deepens. "What bags?" "These are the store's shopping baskets." "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to step aside so I can inspect your cart and your personal belongings." The checkout line falls silent. The elderly man with cat food turns to stare. The young mother pulls her toddler closer. Other shoppers begin to notice the commotion. Maria's voice remains calm, but there's steel underneath. "What exactly are you accusing me of?" Derek crosses his arms. "Ma'am, we have reason to believe you may have unpaid merchandise on your person." "What reason?" Janet steps forward. "Ma'am, we don't need to explain our security procedures. This is routine." But it isn't routine, and everyone in line knows it. The woman in front of Maria wasn't searched. Neither was the man with cat food. Neither were any of the other customers who've passed through in the last hour. Maria looks around, realizing that every eye in the front of the store is now on her. She recognizes the look. The same one she gets when she walks into upscale restaurants, when she enters department stores in the nicer parts of town, when she exists in spaces where people like her are presumed guilty until proven innocent. "I haven't stolen anything," she says quietly. "Then you won't mind if we check," Derek replies. Maria's hands tighten on her purse strap. Inside that purse are her work ID, her nursing license, photos of her children, and her phone. Also inside is the memory of every other time she's been made to feel like a criminal for the crime of existing while brown, while working class, while taking up space in places where she's not wanted. The store seems to hold its breath. Other shoppers pretend to look at magazines while actually watching the drama unfold. Some have their phones out, though whether to help or to record isn't clear. Maria reaches into her purse. Not for her wallet, not to comply with their demands, but for her phone. It's an older model, cracked screen, but it works. She scrolls through her contacts and finds the number she hopes she'll never have to call. "What are you doing?" Derek asks, stepping closer. Maria presses dial and waits. 1 ring, 2 rings. Then a familiar voice answers. "Rodriguez Law Firm. This is Carmen Rodriguez." "Carmen," Maria says, her voice carrying across the sudden quiet of the store. It's happening again. Just like that, the atmosphere in Freshmart shifts entirely. Because while Derek and Janet don't know who's on the other end of that call, the tone in Maria's voice, calm, determined, and backed by the confidence of someone who knows exactly what her rights are, tells them they've made a serious mistake. Derek's face flushes. "Ma'am, you can't make phone calls during a security check." Maria looks at him with the patience of someone who's dealt with difficult people all her life. In hospitals, in emergency rooms, in moments of crisis where keeping calm means the difference between life and death. "I absolutely can," she says. "And I am." Carmen's voice comes through the phone clearly enough for nearby customers to hear. "Maria, are you safe? Where are you?" "Freshmart on McDowell. 2 managers are trying to search me and my belongings without cause. Don't consent to any search. Don't answer any questions beyond identifying yourself. I'm sending someone now." Derek reaches for the phone. "Ma'am, you need to hang up that call." Maria takes a step back. "Sir, you need to step back and leave me alone." The elderly man with cat food speaks up. "What's this lady done wrong? I've been watching her shop for the last hour. She ain't done nothing but pick out groceries." The young mother nods. "She helped my little boy when he dropped his toy. Been nothing but polite." Janet, realizing the situation is spiraling, tries to regain control. "Everyone please mind your own business. This is a private security matter." But it's not private anymore. A teenager near the magazine rack has started recording on his phone. A woman by the flower display is texting rapidly. The store's own customers are becoming witnesses, and not the kind Derek and Janet want. Kevin, the pharmacist, appears from behind the pharmacy counter. "Is there a problem here?" Derek turns to him. "Sir, please return to your station. We have this under control." "That's Maria Santos," Kevin says, ignoring Derek's authority. "She's been a customer here for 8 years. Never had a single problem. What's this about?" "Routine security check," Janet repeats, but her voice lacks conviction now. "Routine." Kevin laughs. "I've worked here 12 years. I've never seen you do a routine security check on Mrs. Henderson, and she actually shoplifts candy bars." The tension in the store is palpable now. More customers have gathered, forming a loose circle around the confrontation. Some are recording, others are just watching, but all of them are seeing something they recognize. A hardworking woman being humiliated for no reason other than someone's prejudice. Maria's phone buzzes with a text. She glances at it and nods. "My attorney will be here in 10 minutes, she announces. Derek's eyes widen. "Your attorney?" "Carmen Rodriguez, civil rights attorney. We've worked together before." Janet steps forward. "Worked together on what?" Maria looks at her with the tired patience of someone who's had this conversation too many times. "On cases just like this one. Discrimination lawsuits. Constitutional violations. The kind of cases that end up costing companies like Freshmart significant money." The color drains from Derek's face. Janet's clipboard suddenly seems very interesting to her. "Ma'am," Derek says, his tone completely changed. "Maybe there's been a misunderstanding." "No misunderstanding," Maria replies. "You profiled me, accused me of theft without evidence, demanded to search me and my belongings, and tried to prevent me from contacting my attorney. All of this in front of witnesses, some of whom are recording." She gestures to the growing crowd. "These people saw you treat me differently than every other customer. They heard you make assumptions about my economic status, my ethnicity, and my character. They watched you violate my rights." A well-dressed woman near the floral section speaks up. "I saw the whole thing. She's right. You singled her out for no reason." "Same here," says a man in a business suit. "Been shopping here for 5 years. Never seen anything like this." Derek looks around, finally realizing how many witnesses there are, how many phones are recording, how badly this situation has deteriorated. "Ma'am, why don't we just let you finish your shopping?" he suggests weakly. Maria shakes her head. "It's too late for that." The automatic doors at the front of the store slide open, and a woman in a sharp business suit strides in. Carmen Rodriguez is in her early 40s, with the kind of presence that immediately commands attention. She's carrying a leather briefcase and wearing the expression of someone who's done this many times before. She surveys the scene. Maria standing calmly by her shopping cart, Derek and Janet looking increasingly uncomfortable, the crowd of customers watching everything, and nods with satisfaction. "Maria," she says, approaching with a smile. "Are you hurt?" "No, I'm fine." Carmen turns to Derek and Janet. "I assume you're the managers who decided to racially profile my client?" Derek stammers. "We weren't. It wasn't about race. It was routine security." Carmen pulls out her phone and shows them the screen. "This video has been uploaded to our firm's social media accounts. It shows your routine security, targeting a Latina healthcare worker while ignoring multiple white customers who went through the same checkout process without harassment." Janet finally finds her voice. "We had reasonable suspicion." "Of what?" Carmen interrupts. "Please, tell me exactly what reasonable suspicion you had. Was it the way she carefully compared prices? The way she helped another customer's child? The way she paid cash for her prescriptions like she has every month for 8 years?" Carmen turns to address the crowd. "How many of you witnessed this interaction from the beginning?" Multiple hands go up. "How many of you saw Mrs. Santos do anything suspicious?" No hands. "How many of you saw other customers go through checkout without being searched?" Every hand goes up. Carmen turns back to Derek and Janet. "Gentlemen, lady, you have a problem." Derek tries one more time. "Look, maybe we can work this out. Maybe there was a misunderstanding." Carmen shakes her head. "The time for working it out was before you decided to humiliate my client in front of her community. The time for understanding was before you made assumptions based on her appearance and her profession." She opens her briefcase and pulls out a business card. "Here's what's going to happen. Mrs. Santos is going to finish her shopping. She's going to pay for her groceries. She's going to leave. And tomorrow morning, we're going to file a federal civil rights lawsuit against Freshmart Corporate." "A lawsuit?" Janet gasps. "Title II of the Civil Rights Act prohibits discrimination in places of public accommodation. Your actions tonight constitute clear discrimination based on race and perceived economic status. The evidence is overwhelming, the witnesses are numerous, and some of it is already viral on social media." Carmen pulls out her phone again. "This video has been shared 847 times in the last 15 minutes. The comments are illuminating. People are calling for boycotts. They're sharing their own stories of discrimination at Freshmart locations. Corporate is going to be very interested to learn about this." Derek and Janet exchange panicked looks. "What do you want?" Derek asks. Carmen looks at Maria, who nods slightly. "What we want is change," Carmen says. "Real change. Not apologies, not excuses. We want Freshmart to implement mandatory anti-bias training for all employees. We want clear policies about when and how security procedures can be implemented. We want accountability." She pauses. And we want Mrs. Santos to be able to shop for her family without being treated like a criminal. Kevin, the pharmacist, steps forward. For what it's worth, Mrs. Santos has been nothing but a model customer for 8 years. Always polite, always pays her bills, never caused any problems. This whole thing is ridiculous. Other customers murmur agreement. The teenager who started recording speaks up. This video's about to blow up. My sister goes to journalism school at ASU. She's already writing about it. Carmen nods. Mrs. Santos, would you like to finish your shopping? Maria looks at her cart, then at Derek and Janet, then at the crowd of customers who've witnessed everything. Yes, she says quietly. I would. She pushes her cart toward the self-checkout, refusing to give Derek and Janet the satisfaction of serving her. Carmen follows, as do several of the customer witnesses. As Maria scans her items, each generic brand choice, each careful decision, Carmen speaks to the gathering crowd. What you witnessed tonight happens every day in stores across America. Hardworking people, often people of color, often people in service professions, are presumed guilty, presumed dangerous, presumed unworthy of basic respect. She looks at Derek, who's still standing nearby. But tonight you also witnessed something else. You saw a woman who knew her rights, who had support, who refused to accept treatment that was beneath her dignity. Maria finishes scanning her groceries and pays with cash. Exact change, just as she always does. She takes her receipt and her bags, and turns to address the crowd. I want to thank everyone who spoke up tonight, she says, her voice carrying clearly through the store. It would have been easy to look away, to mind your own business. But you didn't. You saw something wrong and you said something. She looks at Derek and Janet. I've been shopping here for 8 years. I've brought my children here, taught them to be polite to the staff, to respect the store. I've never stolen anything, never caused any trouble. Tonight, you decided I was a problem because of how I look, because of where I work, because of the car I drive. Her voice remains calm, but there's steel underneath. You were wrong. And tomorrow, when this story is in the news, when your corporate offices start getting calls, when people start asking how this happened, I want you to remember this moment. I want you to remember that the woman you tried to humiliate is the same woman who's been taking care of your community's sick and elderly for over a decade. She turns to Carmen. I'm ready to go. As they walk toward the exit, Kevin calls out, Mrs. Santos? Same time next week for your mom's prescriptions. Maria smiles, the first genuine smile of the evening. Same time, Kevin. Thank you. The automatic doors slide open, and Maria Santos walks out into the Phoenix evening, her dignity intact, her groceries paid for, and her rights defended. Behind her, Derek and Janet are left to explain to their district manager why Freshmart is about to become the center of a viral discrimination controversy. But ahead of her, Maria has a family to feed, a mother to care for, and a community that just learned what it looks like when someone refuses to accept being treated as less than human. The next morning, #MariaDeservesBetter is trending on Twitter. By noon, the video has 500,000 views. By evening, Freshmart Corporate has issued a statement promising a thorough investigation and additional training for all employees. But for Maria Santos, the real victory isn't the hashtag or the corporate statement. It's the phone call she gets from her daughter, who saw the video at college. Mom, her daughter says, I'm proud of you. For what, Mija? For showing me what it looks like to stand up without putting anyone down. For showing me what strength looks like. Maria sits in her small kitchen, looking at the groceries she fought for the right to buy, thinking about the lesson she never wanted to teach but was forced to give. Sometimes, Mija, the world tries to make you small. Sometimes people try to convince you that you don't belong, that you don't deserve respect. But you do belong, and you deserve to be treated with dignity, no matter where you shop, no matter what you wear, no matter what language you speak at home. I know, Mom. You've always taught me that. But now you've seen what it looks like to live it. The story spreads because people recognize themselves in it. Other healthcare workers share their own stories of discrimination. Other parents talk about the indignity of being followed in stores while shopping for their families. Other Americans who've been made to feel unwelcome in their own country find their voice. Freshmart eventually settles the lawsuit. Derek and Janet are transferred to positions where they no longer interact with customers. The company implements new training programs and clearer policies about security procedures. But the real change happens in smaller moments. In the customer who speaks up when they see someone being mistreated, in the manager who thinks twice before making assumptions, in the community that decides it will no longer tolerate discrimination in its stores. Maria continues shopping at Freshmart, not because she forgives, but because she refuses to let anyone drive her away from her own community. She shops with her head high, her rights understood, and her dignity intact. And every Thursday evening, Kevin the pharmacist asks about her mother. Other customers nod hello with respect, and Maria Santos buys groceries for her family in peace. Because sometimes, one phone call, one moment of refusing to accept unacceptable treatment can change everything. The lesson isn't just about fighting discrimination. It's about knowing your worth, understanding your rights, and having the courage to stand up for both. Maria Santos went to the store to buy groceries. She left having taught her community what dignity looks like.